Were the Muslims the first to claim that Jesus was not crucified? Many claim that Muslims came 600 years after Jesus, peace be upon him, to deny his crucifixion. But is this true? First, Muslims didn't come 600 years after Jesus, but rather Islam is the religion of all prophets of God. Muslims believe in all the prophets of God came with the same message, the message to submit to God, which is Islam. Now, let's see if anyone claimed that Jesus was not crucified before the coming of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. According to the Catholic Encyclopedia, Basileus was an early Christian Gnostic religious teacher in Alexandria, Egypt, who taught from 117 to 138 AD. He claimed to have inherited his teaching from Apostle Saint Matthias. He said, "And to men Christ seemed to be a man and to have performed miracles. It was not, however, Christ who suffered, but rather Simon of Cyrene, who was constrained to carry the cross for him, and mistakenly crucified in Christ's stead." He also states Simon was crucified and Jesus returned to his Father. The time frame that Basileus was not far off from Jesus. In fact, he existed around the time the Gospel of John was written. In one of the Gnostic Gospels that was not included in the Bible, named the Acts of John, in the verse 101, Jesus said, "Hanged, and I was not hanged. The blood flowed from me, and it flowed not." In 1945, a collection of scriptures named Nag Hammadi scriptures were discovered in northern Egypt, dating back to 100 to 200 AD. This set of scriptures is a collection of 13 ancient books called codices, containing over 50 texts. In them, a gospel named Gospel of Judas. It states that Jesus told Judas, "You will exceed all of them, for you will sacrifice the men that clothe me," meaning that Jesus was not crucified, and it is Judas, who might have been the one who betrayed him and who was crucified instead. In the first Apocalypse of James, another gospel among the collection of scriptures named the Nag Hammadi scriptures, James is counseled by Jesus. In it he said, "Never I have suffered in any way, nor I have been distressed, and his people have done no harm." Also, in the second treatise of the Great Seeth, a gospel discovered in Codex 7 of Nag Hammadi codices, and it dates around the 3rd century, Jesus says, "I did not die in reality, but in appearance. Those in error and blindness saw me. They punished me. It was another, their father, who drank the gall and the vinegar. It was not, they struck me with a reed. It was another, Simon, who bore the cross on his shoulder. I was rejoicing in the height over all, and I was laughing at their ignorance." John Lorimer, in his book The History of the Church, talks about a sect within Christianity named Docetism, which comes after the word Docete, which means illusionist. They believe that Simon of Cyrene was crucified instead of Jesus. Another sect named Marcionism was an early Christian dualist belief system that originated in the teaching of Marcion of Sinope in Rome around the year 144. Report that Christ was revealed as a man, thought not a man, and did not really die on the cross. All these people and sects didn't believe Jesus was crucified. Now, many might wonder where the mainstream Christianity came from. In the book written by Stuart Harold, The Element of Gnosticism, he said, "The prosecuted primitive church of the 2nd century was to become in the 4th century itself the prosecutor, whereas in the earliest period of Gnostic had been able to engage in theological dispute with the Orthodox. Later, they were sought out, excommunicated, and sometimes burned alive to their heresy." So, number 1, Islam or the Quran was not the first to claim Jesus was not crucified. Islam, as a religion of all prophets, came to show the true reality of Jesus and re-emphasize the hidden truth. Number 2, some might claim that Prophet Muhammad copied what these heretics had and included it into his religion. Our response is how Prophet Muhammad did so, while he was not able to read or write and was not able to get a hold of these heretical writings, while none were in Arabic. Number 3, if the Prophet Muhammad was a fake prophet, he would have taken the common belief of Christians back then and included it so he would get more followers, just like what Paul did. In the 1 Corinthians 9:19, Paul said, "Thought I'm free and I belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. To Jews I became like a Jew to win the Jews. To those under the law I became one under the law so as to win those under the law. To those not having the law I became like the one not having the law, and so to win those not having the law. To the weak I became weak to win the weak. I have become all these things to all people so that by all possible means I might save them. Number 4, it seems like they will object to Islam no matter what we say. If we said Jesus was crucified, then they would say you stole it from the Bible. If we said Jesus was not crucified, they would say you stole it from these heretics. If we say we don't believe in Jesus, then they would say you stole it from the Jews. Christianity over time lost many of the essential messages that Jesus came with due to the lack of transcription, connected transmission, and instead depending on oral transmission. Therefore, some branches were named heretics. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came to reaffirm the true reality of Jesus, to submit to the one and only, and ask him for forgiveness. If you have questions about Islam, ask a Muslim.